So we've been chipping away slowly at the Beetle, working on a few of the more tedious things. So we haven't really been videotaping it all, aka wiring. We started at the engine bay, got it all wired, and we're onto the inside now. But we figured it was a good time to kind of give a rundown and an overview at where we're at with everything on the Beetle. So you can see the back end's off. Nothing too crazy, we're just cleaning it up. But let's start back there. What we've done is just pulled the rear bumper assembly off, the bumper and fenders off. More or less, so right now we could kind of give everything a good cleanup and see what's going on behind the scenes. Just little bits of rust starting here and there. So the main point of this is, one, to clean everything up, but two, we're going to oil it all just for now so that it's not going to spread in the near future. It's more or less just a maintenance move while we're doing the wiring. Figured we'd pull the back end off. Also, it helped us get to the wiring that was behind the bumper, so that we can also continue wiring that stuff. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Our brakes are looking mighty rusty because they've been sitting, but they are all brand new brakes. This is the rear GLI setup. We have the full GLI big brake setup on it. And before we're back on the road, we'll probably take everything apart and give it a quick cleanup. We're going to clean all of the coilovers up as well too, so that we can get to the collars and make some adjustments. Before it goes on the track, we've got to do corner weights and proper track alignment. But we'll pull all four corners off and do a bit of a track prep before then. We'll get a good video of it. But it'll just kind of involve rebuilding the brakes, servicing the brakes, and probably the axles too. We got to do those. Moving on to this back area, I want to come on over here. We've got the entire interior out. So with the wiring, what we've got going on here, actually, it's a good time to have a look at the battery mount, because you don't really get to see it too often. We've got some riv nuts that we put in both of these holes and just bolted some L brackets to it. I welded some threaded rod onto the top of them. So we have a fastening down plate, and that's our battery mount as it sits. So we've just got some wires kicking around here. The game plan is the hatch wiring, driver's side, is going to run across the top of the roof line over to the passenger side and join with it before it runs down the C-pillar back down to this area. And all of the wiring from pretty much the dashboard back is only going to be going down the passenger side. It just keeps it all nice and neat and tidy and clean, and yeah, neat, tidy, and clean. So as far as in here, we still got to remove a little bit of the sound deadening, this insulation crap kicking around. That won't be for a little bit, and it's about where we're at inside the car. We'll go have a look at the wiring in just a few there. So this is what's the remaining of the harness from the passenger side. All we really did was take everything out individually, labeled what we still need. So I think this is fuel. Yeah, it's a fuel pump. We got like a fuel filler drawer, the hatch, passenger side. We have our 1-aught cable, our starting cable here, just kicking around. And let's go to the other side of the car here. On this side is all the fun, because it's unfinished wiring. So, rat's nest. What you're looking at though is, this is the remainder of what needs to be run on the passenger side from the driver's side harness. This is all to be deleted. So the way we're going to do that is essentially wire by wire. I trace it back in and get rid of them as we go. Stuff like the comfort control module, that's out of there. A bunch of different stuff. Then all we need to do is hook up our main powers for our fuel and interior. And we're pretty much ready for key on. So as soon as the wiring's finished, next step is going to be key on. No crank or anything, just key on. Make sure we've got power to the cluster and everything. And from there, we'll be back into the engine bay, because we need to do a bit more prep before we crank it over. Got to be holding oil and coolant and all those fun things. So what we're going to see in the next video is hopefully completed wiring, or semi-completed. and we'll go key on, and then we're going to be working on the front tilt a little bit more. But with the wiring, as it stands right now, let's move around to the front of the car. It was raining, let's see. It still is a little bit. We have all of the engine bay completely wired, custom routed, everything's kind of going where it needs to go. Just wanted to get all the wire lengths and everything ran properly. And because of the sketchy nature of all the broken wires in this engine bay, wanted to take from essentially every plug all the way in past the firewall and inspect every single wire to make sure we have no breaks or anything. Now, as the wires make their way in, we've kind of adjusted some of the lengths and a lot of the routing to make it a bit easier. Like the way I routed these wires here are in 5 individual harnesses. And then the injectors are also connected to the cam position sensor and both the NOx sensors. We just kind of tried to keep everything flowing well. The future game plan is all of the harnesses are going to be yellow in the engine bay under the hood. So what that'll kind of end up looking like is hopefully a bit of like a nervous system, like the veins running throughout the thing. It's kind of the game plan. Still got to put an alternator cable on. Other than that though, up front is getting really close. It's just about ready. We've got to do clamps, just small tedious stuff, a lot of little things. And the game plan next time as well will be take the slider brackets, which we found a bit of footage from when we built the first, or when we were building the tilt front end, of building the actual slider brackets. We've got them all together, just need to be mounted onto the frame rails. So I'm going to throw that in right now. It'll be like 5 minutes of me building some slider brackets. All right, so we're getting ready to mock up and cut up the brackets for the tilt. First things first, just use this as a little demonstration piece. I think I'm going to lay this one in, mark and cut this side. Same over here, mark and cut this side, so that when I put that into there, I'll be able to drop both of the pieces down onto this guy, and then I can mark the outer edges. Is that right? Oh no, mark these edges. Yeah, something like that. I don't know what I'm doing. Let's go. So here are our inserts. 2 inch by 1 inch by pretty damn thick. I'll cut this angle off and straighten them out and make them all the same. Then yeah, we'll put these guys into the mix here and get them all cut up, and yeah, I don't know, see where we're at. Yeah. All right, here we have both of them kind of rough together. Get the idea. This thing, oh, a lot of steel in there. This guy is going to slide in between these two, in and out, both of them. One side together, welded and ground down. Let's do the next. All right, both sliders are, well, sliding. My freaking angle grinder broke. So bad, so I couldn't do anything. I was going to grind this guy down smooth, kind of like this edge. Can't even see the welds anymore, right? But yeah, angle grinder broke, so I'll clean that up later. But that's nice. Yeah, these guys move nice and free. It's ideal. Doesn't take much. But they're supposed to be snug like that. We want them to have minimal movement. There's almost no side to side, no up and down movement at all. So these are nice and tight, and yeah, so far that's what I got. So plan is to put a couple pins in these ends here so that when these slide all the way forward, they stop when they hit the pin, which will be a little recessed area here. And then on the end of this, we'll have our hinge. And then on top of that, pull the pin or the cotter pin out, remove the pin, and you can remove this all the way with the front of the car so that it's easily removable. I have our two sliders here, one complete, one that just still needs the edge ground down. My dirty weld's all over it there. They both work very well. They slide, which is ideal. The cutoffs from the outer part of the sliders here, we're going to use them, cut them up into a couple little segments here, and probably do a little cutout in them so they wrap around the outer edge here. And then we'll use them to bolt to the side of the frame rail. We'll probably put a couple PEMs, riv nuts, in the side of the frame rail so that these things can just bolt and unbolt out of the side. I don't know why you'd ever want to remove them once they're in, but you know, just in case, why not? I was going to weld them originally, but let's keep everything removable. So that's the plan. We'll grind this down, we'll cut these guys up, we'll get them welded onto the side of these, we'll go over to the car and see where else we need to weld them to. Yeah, that's the game plan. Yeah. All right, well, we have a few, actually all of our hinge slider assemblies laid out. I started off by making these just basic square tabs. I was thinking of putting them onto the top. I don't know whether they go that way or that way, however I was going to do it. Maybe sink them down a little bit, but I decided get a little more fancy. So we did these cool angled kneader tabs. We're going to have them sitting off this edge some way. I'm thinking the rears are going to face back. I think the tabs will face out so I can bolt it to the side of the frame rail from there. It really depends, I guess, where it ends up sitting, where the middle one goes on the passenger side because of the tow hook. So it's going to end up sitting probably like this, butted up to the back of the tow hook, possibly. But the other side should be nice and easy to just kind of front and back, both of them pointing one direction. Or maybe we'll have them so they point in on each other.
I think I'm liking the one direction.
But out.
Ooh.
All right. You can get fancy. I don't know. So sky's the limit, but I've cleaned these up and tapered all the edges in on both sides. They are ready to weld, pretty much. All we need to do is clean some of the paint off of one of these sides and still have to go around and get rid of all the welds. And then that's it. We've got some centers, sliders. Heck yeah. It's going to be sweet. That's all I got.
Thrust.
So pretty much to sum it up, where we're at right now is continuing to pull wires and finish wiring the inside. I'll just go through and inspect all the harnesses again, make sure nothing's too much out of place, and we'll cycle key. Fingers crossed that all goes well. Then we will move on to the front end and work a little bit on the tilt, as well as we will probably button a few more things up in the engine bay as we go along too, just because we are getting ready to slowly crank over. But for the most part, the main focus is going to be trying to get the tilt on, trying to get it moving and functioning properly. That's pretty much where we're at. That's the rundown of the Beetle as it sits right now. She's she's getting there. It shouldn't be long. She's moving along nicely. Okay, and that's pretty much it. That's the rundown of the beetle, where she sits right now, and we'll see you next time. Yep.